Okay, students, today we are working on creating some lotion for our experiment. So we are going to start working with our fatty compounds and place them into our beaker number 1. Our compounds which we are going to add to the first beaker are the following. We have lanolin, which is a very waxy substance. We have triethanolamine, which is a liquid, a very, very viscous liquid. We have stearic acid, which is a solid, white solid powder. And lastly, we have cetyl alcohol, which is also a solid white powder. All right. In a separate container, we will be heating up our aqueous solutions. And for that, we will have a separate beaker with just deionized water and glycerin, which is right here for you. Okay, I'm going to start off by measuring our 2 grams of lanolin directly into beaker number 1, and I'm going to try to get it to the bottom of the beaker. So students, we have our lanolin here in our beaker, and our lanolin is this yellowy, very sticky component here. I went ahead and also managed to measure out our cetyl alcohol and our stearic acid, and the little bit of liquid that you see rolling around in here right now is the triethanolamine. So these are all of our fatty compounds that we are going to put into beaker number 1. I'm going to go ahead and set this into our water bath, and so I'll use a pair of tongs here to gently place this into our water bath. Okay, so our water bath here is at 80 degrees Celsius. I'm going to check that temperature one more time before I place it in there. Let's just get a quick check of the temp. And I want to make sure this is at 80 degrees Celsius so I know all of these compounds will melt. And we are currently at about 82 degrees Celsius, so I will go ahead and place my beaker in there gently. I want to also ensure that no water gets into my beaker, so I'm going to very, very gently ensure that it's floating in my water bath. So if you look closely, you can see that our lanolin is melting and combining with the other components in the beaker of fats. Okay, go ahead and see if I can get that to look towards the camera. All right, now while this is melting, I'm going to prepare my second beaker of compounds. And my second beaker of compounds contains aqueous molecules. So we have water. We're going to use 50 milliliters of water. And I will use the graduation here on the beaker to measure out my 50 milliliters of water. And after I finish measuring 50 milliliters of water, I'm going to add 2 milliliters of glycerin. All right, that's real good. And next up is glycerin. All right, glycerin is very viscous, so it's taking a little bit for it to travel up the pipette. Okay, this is 2 milliliters. Okay, so in a separate beaker of boiling water, or well, water at 80 degrees Celsius, we will place our aqueous solution. Okay, so gently. I think I'm going to have to spill out a little water here since the density of water and glycerin mixed together is greater than the density of the fats. I have to ensure that we won't have any water spill in from the bath itself. Okay, so I still don't trust that liquid level. I'm going to go ahead and spill out just a little more. Okay. And again, this is to ensure that our liquid, the amount we measured out, is actually accurate and stays accurate throughout the experiment. Right, there we go. So let me check on my other beaker, and looks like our stuff is slowly starting to combine together. I'm going to use my glass rod to stir them together. And combine all of our solids. And from your point of view at the moment, it might just look like I have yellowy liquid together with some white solids floating around. And what I'm doing here is just stirring to combine all of those compounds together. Okay, we're going to wait for these compounds to both reach 80 degrees Celsius, and then we'll do some combining. Okay, students, so we have our 2 water baths here, and our solutions have made it to 80 degrees Celsius internally. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them from the water bath and place them here on a paper towel. So let me gently do like so. This one's a little warmer. All right, and now what I will do is take our aqueous solution and pour it into our organic liquids here. And remember, beaker 1 had all of our fatty compounds, beaker 2 had water and glycerin. We're going to go ahead and do that. All right, and now that I have added all of my aqueous components, I'm going to use my glass rod here and start to whip. Okay, so lotion also incorporates air into its, so lotion is technically a colloid, so we do have to combine both the aqueous and organic components, and now we're going to whip in some air. So now we are actually creating the colloidal portion of our lotion. Because this will not turn into a true whipped mixture until it reaches back down to room temperature, this will take a while before we see it look like a commercial lotion. And so we're going to come back in a moment. I'm going to have to whip this for about 10 to 15 minutes before it starts to look like a lotion.